What is going on, everyone? My name is Northy, and today we've got ourselves into the double digits of the AFL season. We've hit round 10, everybody. The season is going by a lot quicker than anyone wants to if you're an AFL fan, so we're going to have to try and enjoy as much as we can this weekend. I think that's just the way it's got to be. I love being able to watch a full weekend of footy, and I'm going to be able to do so this weekend. Keen as a bean for it. So, without further ado, we are going to jump into our team coach preview for round 10, but before we get into that, as per usual, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Everything is always very, very much appreciated. Got a few comparisons here to talk about, a few changes here and there, and it's all in the quest for getting a prize card as per usual. But I'm keen to see what you guys think of it, and let's get into it. So here we are once again. Round 10, as I mentioned, is a very midpoint of the year, I feel like. It's at least a notable point, not only because it is the first double-digit round, but because it is the start of the Indigenous rounds. We've got round 10 and round 11, I believe. Of course, a very important round for everyone involved in the AFL scene, but we are here to purely talk about who we think will win and how our teams will go. But definitely be sure to go watch a game if you can, with family, with friends, whatever it may be. It's going to be a very special experience. So we're going to start off this week with the tips. I mentioned a few last week, I think, or sorry, not last week, at the team coach review for Monday for round 9, and there's some obvious ones that will pick up pretty quickly, like Melbourne beating West Coast, Essendon beating North, and Power beating Hawthorn. Most likely Hawthorn have been able to pick off a few though, so we'll have to wait and see. Another one to also pick up is Brisbane beating Richmond. That should be a done deal too. Now the others, these could go either way. We've got Freo and St Kilda. Both have been kind of disappointing, I feel, as of late. Sydney beating the Dockers, even though Dockers absolutely could have made it at least a close game if they had kicked straight. But Freo ended up losing that one by a good few goals, and St Kilda obviously losing to Hawthorn is never something you want to do. So St Kilda is looking to try and bounce back as well. Who are we thinking though between them? I am going to go St Kilda. I'm going to go for the Saints this week. Now we've got GWS versus the Dogs who either get absolutely embarrassed or embarrass another team. I just don't see them embarrassing GWS, so I'm going to pick GWS there. Gold Coast versus Geelong. Although Geelong are coming off of 2 straight losses, which is crazy after they were undefeated, Geelong, I still feel like they're a level above Gold Coast, so I'm going to pick Geelong here. I'm going to skip to Collingwood v Adelaide because this is going to be a good one, but not as good as the last one, I feel. But Collingwood v Adelaide, this one could honestly go either way. Adelaide coming off a draw with Brisbane, so it'll be fun to see whether we get something similar there. But Collingwood, I think they've found their form now. A big win against West Coast that they probably should have done, and that win against, I believe it was Carlton, that was a big win for them. So Collingwood, I think they're finding their feet again. And now the big one, Sydney v Carlton, is going to be a lot of fun to watch. My tip, I'm going with Sydney. I think they are absolutely the real deal this season. I think Carlton, as much as they are also the real deal, hence why this is an exciting matchup. I think at the SCG at least, it's going to be a fun show, and Sydney's going to come on top. So hopefully we'll be able to get ourselves a 9 out of 9 this week. Yet to do it so far this season, so maybe this week, I don't know. We'll find out. Let's see. But now that we're done with the formalities, let's get into star powers. I'm always keen with a bit of star powers action, and I think only the one change, and that is my midfield ball going from Matt Rowell back to Zach Merritt. I've gone Zach Merritt a lot this year, and I definitely picked him at the right time, or took him out at the right time, because he had himself a bit of a poor week, but I just didn't pick the right player to replace him. Matt Rowell had 4 more points, so not really much, but Zach Merritt, he is up against, with Nick Martin, the North Melbourne Kangaroos, so that's probably the reason why I'd imagine most people would want to pick him. And then on the same form, Melbourne are coming up against West Coast, and Maxi Gawn is going to be up against Bailey Williams, so I'd assume, based off of that Maxi Gawn will have himself a field day with that one, so hopefully that goes well. Then we've got Nick Dacos in the Mighty section, 131 points last week. I see no reason to kick him out. And Hayden Young as well, who I'm kind of just holding in the rare case that he manages to break out in the way that I expect him to. As, you know, some players, if as soon as you take them out, they end up having ridiculously good games. Thought about Blakey, definitely thought about Blakey, but we're going to stick with Hayden. Then we move over to the Ultra section, and like I mentioned before, no changes, but this one, no changes at all. We are keeping Dacos in because Rosie, I've not heard any news about. Obviously keeping Nick Martin and Maxi Gawn. I really wanted someone new in terms of Nick Martin or Maxi Gawn, but couldn't get anyone this week. So we're sticking with Sarong and Whitfield. I'm gonna need Whitfield to have a big week, man. I need to believe in him. I really need to believe in him, and I need him to absolutely pay off. He should be needed against the Dogs, but it's up to whether he has himself a good game and whether he gets himself involved, because he does sometimes feel a little weak to the ball, and that's, I think, what gets me frustrated with him the most. But checking the rankings for these two, we didn't check silver, so I'll go back. We came 70th last week with 533 for a second place for the season so far. I am in front of everyone on the leaderboard here, but there's one person who's got me so far, and I need to see whether I can catch up there. It'll be interesting to see. But we also then moved to Ultra, and we are rank 5. So what I found out is that I believe I have passed Jason here. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm behind these two. I think I'm in front of Jason. I don't know. Jason, if you're watching this, let me know in the comments. Am I in front or am I behind? It'd be nice to kind of keep comparing, but he has also compared his top 18. I think that's the one I was thinking of in the first place. He's compared his top 18. But Star Powers has been fairly successful so far this season. I reckon we can make it more successful though this week. Let's see how it goes. I'm keen. We're going to move to top team now, and only the one change for top team this week, at least in top 4. And that is our midfield going back to Zach Merritt. I should have picked Bont last week because of the matchup, but this time I'm not going to make the same mistake. We are going Merritt because they are up against the Roos. Merritt should have himself a good game, and the fact that Nick Martin's also playing in there could be the other pick for some people. They may want to go Nick over Merritt, but Merritt, I feel like he's a safer option because he is going to play midfield minutes, while I know Nick Martin is either back or wing. And so, although he definitely can get involved as a backman, that's usually when they're up against some pretty good opponents. So I don't imagine he's going to get as involved this week. I could obviously be wrong, but Merritt is often a much safer option. But we're sticking with Dacos because Dacos has been good the last 2 weeks. Max Gorn, we mentioned the matchup against Bailey Williams, and Isaac Heaney is going to stay in there because there's no reason to take him out. Isaac Heaney has just been that good for the forward line. He's been the obvious choice all year round. And now we move to top 18. We can see not many changes here as well. If you remember with the review for 9, I had mentioned that we do not have Jeremy Cameron as he is out with a concussion. So he have put in someone who I think will be able to do well. It's either him or Charlie Cameron, but I've gone with Joe Danaher. I've gone with him because I know occasionally he will be put in the ruck as well. So I've chucked him in there in hopes that he can make the most of his opportunity up against a not so great side. With the amount of points that Richmond have been letting on the board, I really hope Joe can actually manage to make it worthwhile. It's either that or the midfield's going to go crazy, hence why I've kept Josh Dunkley in, because I feel like Josh Dunkley is absolutely set up and ready. I do not know whether this Shea Bolton pick is going to be good for the long term. I'm really worried about this one. I feel like it's just going to go wrong for us at some point, but Shea, I'm trusting you again this week, mate. I need you to do well. We keep Carl Langford in. Obviously, they're up against North, so no reason not to have him in again. Brian Myers, again, keeping him in. Mackay, we're going to trust again. If he does worse than Kerno this week, man, I won't know what to do. I will not know what to do, man. It will just be a lost cause. But we've got Mackay in and Heaney in as well. The midfield, like I mentioned, we've got Nick Martin getting another go in with Tom Green also going again. We've got him instead of Bontempelli because Green is coming up against a bit of a easier side. The hope is that he'll just be able to run over the midfield. That and the fact that Josh Kelly is not in the lineup again means he's going to be getting a lot more opportunities to be in and around it. So Tom Green, I think, is a good pick this week. We look at our backline as well. Not many changes, only the one, and that is Nick Blakey instead of Lockie Whitfield. And that seems kind of counterintuitive because, like I mentioned, I don't want him to play poorly, Lockie Whitfield, as I've got him as my double point player in the Ultra Star Powers game mode. But this is kind of like my safety and my backup. I know Nick Blakey is most likely going to be needed in this game against Carlton, so he's going to get his chances on the ball, I'd imagine. It's just about whether he can get himself into the game, whether Sydney get on top, as they probably should. But the hope is Blakey can keep up some fine form. 97 points is not bad at all. He's had himself some 100+ games. He's won rounds as of recent, so hopefully we get that again from him. Some interesting choices, like I mentioned, Hayden Young the other time before. Harry Sheasel, we've got him after 2 kind of a below average weeks. Only 71 last week is definitely below his average, and he was put in the back line last week, so I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I'm hopeful hopeful that we'll be able to get something good out of him though. I'm keeping Jack Sinclair because I feel like this is going to be the time, this is going to be the week that out of all the St Kilda defenders, he is going to play well. I don't know, I just need some luck. I really am just kind of sprinkling a bit of hopium, some copium all over this squad because I want some hope, man. I want some luck. But our rankings, we go to top 4. I don't know if I didn't show this. We were 144 last week for round 9, and we kept our number 1 position. Great stuff. And so I'm hopeful we can do it again this week. I think a lot of thought and a lot of smart tactics have gone into it. Unless we get really, really unlucky, I reckon this is going to be a winner. So we go to top 18, and we got ourselves rank 105, and we are 1 spot behind Jason. It is a very close race between us, and so I guess this is going to be our chase and how we'll do for the season. I'm hopeful that it'll be a good season for both of us. If we can both hit top 10, at the very least, top 5 would be awesome, but that's going to be a big effort. I don't know, just a lot to get excited about. So I am keen as a bean. Let's see some prize cards this week, man. I want prize cards. And there we are getting started. Round 10. Oh, it's going to be a fun week. Obviously, with Indigenous round being a massive theme and a massive part of what we do in the AFL. I am so excited for all the festivities, all the fun with Big Freeze 10 as well coming up. Like, it is such a fun time of the season where everything is really starting to take that shape now. We're seeing the top 8 properly form and who are the contenders and pretenders for the year. We all know North, unfortunately, is a pretender, but I don't think they're even pretending to be a competitive AFL side. They're pretending to be a AFL side in general. So hopefully we can change that in some distant future. But nonetheless, I appreciate you all tuning into this one. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Everything is always very, very much appreciated, and I hope to see you all for another one of these videos. Thank you again, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.